All right, so I call this meeting of Hamtramck City Council to order. Today is January 24th, 2023, and it's 7 p.m. Would the clerk call the rules, please?
Councilman Jakowski,
Present.
Councilman Mahmoud,
Yes.
Councilman Al-Samiri,
Yeah, present.
Councilman Hassan,
Present.
and Councilman Rafai and Councilman Chowdhury are not present. Mr. Mayor is present. We have a quorum.
Thank you. Let's rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Do we have any community announcements? Do we? No? All right, we'll move to the proclamations, recognitions, and presentations, and we'll start with the first one, Spirit of Hope Youth Leadership Award, recognizing Noor Al-Qaifi. See you.
Hello.
Hi. You want to tell us about yourself a little bit?
My name is Nora, and I'm very thankful to be here. Thank you for everyone and for your hard work. And thank you for the mayor and the student. Oh my God.
City Council.
City.
Council.
Thank you. So you're 11 years old?
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and read the proclamation that we have, or the, so Spirit of Hope Youth Leadership Award recognizing Noor Al-Qaifi. In a moment of crisis, reactions set the leaders apart from the followers. Peter Stark. Whereas Noor Al-Qaifi is an 11-year-old Hamtramck resident who consistently demonstrate kindness, responsibility, and often wisdom beyond her age. And whereas Noor Al-Qaifi has demonstrated desire to contribute to the community and develop her skills, such as hosting a Lemonade for Yemen Aid fundraiser in fall of 2021, and an active interest in serving on student government. And whereas Noor Al-Qaifi's maturity and responsibility was called on twice recently in crisis situations, when her younger sibling had a medical emergency in the early morning 2 weeks in a row. And whereas in both instances, Noor Al-Qaifi recognized the severity of the situation, alerted her parents to initiate care and alert medical professionals, and remained calm until medical professionals arrived. Now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Mayor Amr Ghalib, and the entire City Council recognize the efforts of Noor Al-Qaifi in both her family and community, and commend her strength and courage in the face of crisis.
Thank you.
Mayor, we also have the Fire Chief, Barry Carpet here as well for an additional award. Fire Chief, you want to step on up? Nora, you want to stay? We got more for you.
We heard about what you did for your brother, and we moved. It's kind of in the line of business what we do, and we thought that you deserved a little recognition. So what we have here is a certificate from the fire department and the Firefighters Association,
Thank you.
and they have something for you here.
Thank you.
Good job.
Thank you.
Chief, Andy, you want to stay up there with her? Mayor's coming around. We'll take a couple pictures.
Your dad can come.
You want to come up there?
Which one looks better?
Proud moment.
You want to move to the podium?
Yeah, show them off there.
That's nice.
All right, everyone smile. Nice picture.
All right.
Good job.
All right, the next one is Mayoral Certificate of Recognition for Razan Kilawi. And she is not available, she's in Ann Arbor having classes, but I will keep her award until she comes. I'll read it. City of Hamtramck Certificate of Achievements to Razan Kilawi. The City of Hamtramck would like to congratulate you and recognize your Faces of Hamtramck art installation. Your vision and leadership provide heightened visibility to the value of the arts. Next is Hamtramck Area Disaster Recovery Group presentation.
Lynn?
Hello, Mayor and Council. I would like to introduce Kathy Garcia. She is our disaster case manager for the Hamtramck Area Disaster Recovery Group. As you know, because I've spoken a few times before, that we started this group in partnership with FEMA as they were pulling out of the city in response to the 2021 June 24th and 25th flooding that happened across the city. And our organization is committed to working to make sure that every resident affected by the flooding is as recovered as possible. And Kathy's here to explain a little bit more about what that process looks like, where we're at in that process, how to engage, and I'm excited to be here. Kathy?
Welcome.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much. So I am Kathy Garcia. I'm actually from Texas. You can probably tell by my accent. I don't have my cowboy hat on, but you know. We are excited. We have gotten the grant from FEMA through MIDRR to do case management. We were awarded your area in Hamtramck to visit with survivors to discuss with them their recovery plan, what they're still needing to recover from the disaster of June 2021. And that's what we're here to do, is to visit, to be in your community, to try to talk as many survivors. As you know, the number is very high in Hamtramck. A lot of it has to do with flooding, that people didn't have flood insurance with. So they didn't get very much. Many didn't get very much from FEMA, and this is where long-term recovery comes into play. To have a very strong long-term recovery helps the disaster case management program flow smoothly to be able to address the unmet need of a survivor. And so we are in the process of hiring, and I know Lynn has been very great in trying to advertise the disaster case management positions. We do have an office here in Hamtramck. We got that, but we do not have any furniture yet. So we're waiting for some desks and chairs to make our survivors feel comfortable. We are going to be open on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Be here, visible in your community to serve. And we have one person that is a disaster case manager that will be covering this area. And we're looking at 2 more possible. Yesterday we did some interviews since I was going to be in town. And so they're good prospects to serve your community. I wanted to make sure that you understand or have any questions in case management and what we do and how we do it and what does it take. So I'm here to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you. That's
So
good.
before questions, our office is located at 3048 Kniff. And right now, we do have, even without furniture, we do have office hours Tuesdays and Thursdays from 9 to 4. We do anticipate having furniture set up within 2 to 3 weeks, so it'll be a little bit more comfortable. But any community members are welcome to pop in during that time. And once we have more case managers, we'll expand the hours, so we're able to serve more people. Now questions.
Okay.
Is there language assistance?
There is. If there's any need for that, we have our Wayne Metro that has that capability of translating. The last case manager that we did have did state to me before he left to another city that most of the clients that he had already opened, the survivors that he had already opened, did have someone that spoke in English. So that was good news for me because we don't want to hold up a survivor's progress because of a language barrier. But we have that service.
And we do encourage, we still have at least one position open, so we do encourage people that speak either or both Bangla and Arabic to apply as case managers.
What's the position is?
What is the
Case
position called?
They're called disaster case manager.
Case manager.
I did put, copies of the job posting at each of your spots. And it's, for anybody watching online, it is in the attachment, on board docs.
It is the full-time or part-time?
It's a full-time, 12-month position.
So it is a contract with FEMA, and our contract goes through September 2023. What we've been looking at as far as the assessment, the program itself is a good candidate for an extension because of the extreme need. We have construction cost analysts that we hired. They have been doing assessments in your city. And right now, the average cost of the assessments have been at $25K. Can you imagine? If you have, I can't exactly remember the number, I think it's 3,000 something from the ISA list, from the FEMA list that we have to do outreach with. And if you think of it, 300 at 25K as an average, that's a lot of money. That's where long-term recovery comes in.
So we're also fundraising.
Oh,
Looking
good.
for grant writing help.
Just a quick question for the audience too. What's the pay rate for this? Do you know?
So I don't have the authorization as a supervisor to that. That would be Anthony Placino question. And we'll discuss that based upon their experience, their
One-on-one
knowledge, and their
question.
skills.
Okay.
But it's a good pay.
Yeah, I know Lynn has been advocating and sending a lot of emails about the disaster case manager. She's been very wonderful putting these messages out there, and I appreciate that both of you for working hard.
We're here to serve.
Thank you.
Any other
Thank you,
questions?
Casey.
All right.
Thank you.
I'm here if you have more.
That's it.
All right, thanks.
We also have the job description and the flyer uploaded on the board docs
Yeah.
too.
Okay,
Oh,
good.
thank you.
All right, next is the 2022 annual report for Hamtramck Historical Commission.
Mr. Mayor, we're joined by Greg Wilson.
I agree.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for allowing me to come here too as well. You should have gotten a copy, or you will be getting a copy very shortly of the annual report. It also will be on our website for everybody who wishes to take a look. It's been a very, very busy year for us. We've accomplished a lot. We've grown a lot. We've been doing a lot. We've gotten a lot of attention for what we've done as well, too. We did this dig we did, the archaeological dig we did with Wayne State University was a huge success. And in the professional archaeological world, it got national attention. It was featured in a magazine and really brought the focus on Hamtramck and the Hamtramck Historical Museum. Our motto at the museum is we're different. We're a different kind of organization, different kind of historical museum. We're not a typical community museum. We're different in that we focus on interpretation and outreach. And interpretation is showing people things on display, but going beyond that, showing them what is the item, why does it matter, what does it matter to you, even if it wasn't yours. It still is important to you. It plays a role in your life today. And we do community outreach. That's the thing we really are focusing on. We are working with Wayne State University. We actually have a signed agreement to work with them on projects. We are working with the Hamtramck Public Schools. And that's a very important project. We're doing our history project with them. And we are the first community museum in the state of Michigan, at least, that is actually doing this. And we had representatives of the state of Michigan come down to watch our program in action in our interaction with the students. This also involves Wayne County Intermediate School District as well, too. So these are important programs that are getting us focusing attention, not just on our museum, but on Hamtramck. And that's what we want. We want to be recognized, too, not just as a museum, but as a community resource. And we bring people to Hamtramck, we teach people about Hamtramck, we promote Hamtramck. And we also foster communications among Hamtramckans. And this is really what I came to talk to you about. And I won't be extensive on this, but this is where you folks come in too. And everybody here as well. We want everybody to understand that this is the Hamtramck Historical Museum. It is not the old white Polish museum. It is the museum for everybody in Hamtramck. If you arrived here yesterday from Yemen or Bangladesh or wherever, this is your museum. You are welcome here, you are invited here to take part in the programs and be a part of what we're doing. It is for everybody in Hamtramck. Spread that word.
Thank you. That's very nice.
We are very, very serious about that, and we are really focusing our attention on that as we are doing more outreach to the ethnic communities in town too. We want board members who are more ethnic than what we have now. We want to add additional board members to the Friends side of our organization. So, one little point to make is that we are the Friends of Historical Hamtramck, the Hamtramck Historical Commission, and the Hamtramck Historical Museum. 3 units that really work together. That's why you get a joint annual report. So look for a lot of great more things coming up in this next year too. We have some very big plans and we want to expand more. So please give us your input as well. Thank you for all very much.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Greg. Next is the annual report for the fire department.
Good evening. All right, we'll be presenting the annual report for the fire department. That's my first one, so if I'm a little disjointed, just bear with me. Ron, are you gonna put it in?
Yeah, they don't put it, they don't have it in board docs, I'm gonna get it off my email.
Let me start.
You can go ahead and start.
The Hamtramck Fire Department, I was appointed in chief in June of this year. Chief Hagan retired in January. We worked through the process with the old city manager to get a chief in position. Currently, we have 24 of our 26 budgeted positions filled. We do have one member on long-term disability right now, and it's looking like he may be retiring soon, so we'll have a third position to fill. We are actively seeking to fill these positions, and I've been working with HR. We do have a job posted up. Since I took over as chief, we changed over some administrative duties. We've rebalanced the officers' stuff. We've began a review of our SOGs, and we're continuing to work on grants for funding. Last year, we received a grant for equipment. We were able to purchase new hose nozzles and some appliances. We're also finished up a project that was a fire prevention grant, which allowed us to purchase some technology, which allows us to improve efficiencies in our fire prevention bureau. As far as our budget, the budget that we are working with this year was imposed by the last administration, so we're working through it. We're finding some shortfalls and making notes, and I know we'll be getting our budget season soon, so there's a lot of stuff we need to visit there. As far as our fire prevention, or what we like to call it now is community risk reduction. It's more of an overall holistic thing. We want to encompass all areas of safety within the city, but our primary focus is still on fire prevention. With this comes along code enforcement. So like I said, we did get the grant for our fire marshal. This year, once we got the project up and running in May, he was able to complete 1,513 inspections. That's inspections and re-inspections for all businesses, rentals within the city. We'll compare that to last year where the fire marshal was only able to finish 301. And the year before that was 258. So we're seeing greatly increased efficiencies. We're getting out, we're getting in more businesses, making the city a lot safer. We were able to purchase a second tablet. The second tablet allows us to carry all the information for the businesses in case there's an emergency after hours. We're able to have that information at our fingertips so we can contact the business owner and get a key holder out for a fire alarm so there's no property damage or whatnot. And along those lines, in 2020, this body adopted the building code, it's the International Fire Code, 28, which means we have to have a Knox box on our new businesses. So the fire marshal's been active with his inspections. This year, we was able to get 46 new Knox boxes installed. What these are is a secure lock box that goes on the business that has keys for the business that we're allowed to go into the business and not cause damage if there's just a minor alarm, if there's no sign of smoke or fire. So we're doing this to help with the insurance rates and decrease property damage for our business owners. Last year, we were also able to distribute or install 120 smoke alarms and 36 carbon monoxide alarms to citizens in Hamtramck. We're able to get these now from a grant through the state of Michigan. We do have some available, so if anyone is interested, contact the fire department. And the last part of our fire prevention is business walkthroughs. We call them pre-incident surveys. What we do is go through our target hazards, mostly our high occupancy buildings and our, like our industrial properties, our schools and our large assemblies, to get our crews familiar with the buildings, so they know what's going on, the layout of the building, where the utility shut-offs are, before there's an emergency. So we were able to get into 19 separate businesses. We do that 4 days a week to get our entire department through annually. We also did, we did 10 school visits during Fire Prevention Week. We were able to reach over 1,000 children this year with our fire prevention message in the month of October. And we did have 2 schools visit the fire station as a tour. And we're starting to bring that back in post-COVID, so. We are also able to attend 8 community events, including Hamtramck Public Schools Back to School Fair, which we helped distribute 300 COVID test kits. All right, as far as incident responses, we responded to 949 incidents. This is a 22% increase over last year. And we're slightly higher than our 5-year average of 898. And NFIRS is our reporting system. We'll report to the federal government. They use the data points to track fire trends in the country. We showed an increase in 8 of the 9 categories this year. In 2022, we responded obviously to many fires, but there's some of some significance. We had a fire in Edwin where there's damage to the neighboring homes. No one was injured. On February 23rd, we had a fire in Nibel, in a house that was under construction. There were no injuries. March 1st, we had a large fire in a 2-car garage with no exposures. March 22nd, we had a large fire on Prescott, which extended to the 2 houses on either side. We were there for an extended period of time. There were no civilian injuries, luckily. June 19th, we did have a fire on Edwin Street, where we did have 1 civilian injured, and he was transported to the hospital. On October 24th, we had a fire on Zeno. It was in the attic. Our guys were able to knock it out quick, but did displace 2 families. And lastly, we had a small fire right here across the street on Neiman's. On Neiman's, and it was a small fire, but we did have a citizen was displaced. So that represents the major incidents we had this year. We do have an auto aid agreement with the city of Detroit and Highland Park, which does take us outside of the city from time to time. We showed last year we responded to the city of Detroit 225 times and Highland Park 23 times. Specifically, Detroit came here 28 times, and we received aid from Highland Park 17 times. Now, with this auto aid pact, which this allows us to do is try to match the NFPA standards, which sets a standard of having 17 firefighters on scene within 8 minutes of a call. And having this auto aid agreement allows us, they come in with their manpower, and allows us to keep our losses and damage down. Any questions so far? I'm trying to be.
No,
You're doing great.
You're covering pretty good this year. All the numbers are there.
We're trying. All right, as far as training and education, our suppression personnel, we train every day in the firehouse, Monday through Sunday. Last year, we completed 7,016 hours of daily training and daily duties. These include our daily equipment checks. It averages out to about 3.2 hours a day of training per firefighter per day. Among this training, we had some of our members went out and were trained on electric vehicle responses out in the Crest Center in Auburn Hills. GM sponsored that training. All our department drivers participated in Apparatus Rodeo. We were able to use the property that, the old Masson property, before Hamtramck Recycling started construction, to do our rodeo in there. We had to do that annually to keep our guys proficient and certified. We also had our CPR recertification. We came in, we do that every 2 years to keep our guys current. In addition to this, our guys do go to class off duty. We had 3 members who will become certified as a fire instructor 1. We had 2 members continue on after that to do their fire officer 1 and 2. And we had 1 firefighter take his driver's safety class, which allows him to go on to begin the steps to become a certified driver. On top of this, our fire marshal, poor guy's got to do a lot of training here. For his inspections to keep certified, he does 25 hours annually, and for his investigations, he does 20 hours annually. Usually he manages to do these with a multi-day seminar. He gets through them pretty fast. Keeps him pretty busy. I also attended the new Chief Executive Officer program at the National Fire Academy, and the Fire Marshal and I went to a community risk reduction class in the fall, hosted by the Southeast Michigan Fire Chiefs. All right, moving on to our building and grounds. As you guys know, we have an old fire station. Part of it was built in 1918, the second edition was built in the 20s, and the last edition was in the 1970s. So this building is old, it's aging, it's giving us a lot of challenges. Two of our big areas in the building are our roof and our basement. We do have leaks. This is something that we're gonna be looking at and addressing in the next budget cycle. Past that, this year, we did have a couple issues with the sewer lines. DPS was happy, they got a crew out there right away, had it fixed. The DPS also had our back alley paved behind the firehouse. It was collapsing, it was in terrible disrepair. We had 2 new entry doors installed in the firehouse in December, and we've been part of the safety grant for overall safety, that, like you guys have seen the work here with City Hall. They're redoing, they added additional exterior cameras, a motorized gate, and they're updating our keyless entry, our card swipes. So, that going on. As far as our equipment, as I said, we were able to purchase new hose nozzles and some appliances with the grant money. There was a 10% match to that, so there was some cost to the city, but overall, the grant was for close to $14,000, so it's a large chunk of equipment. In my time here in 25 years, the first time we've replaced all of our nozzles at once. So it's a big bonus to us. Our ground ladders, we do have an outside company comes in, does our testing. They test that and our aerial every year. For personal protection equipment and SCBA, PPE is what we call our firefighting gear. This gear averages, just for the coat and pants, we're looking close to $3,200 per set. Every firefighter only has 1 set, and it's starting to age. They recommend replacement by 10 years, and the outer shell should be being replaced after 5 years. Our gear averages almost 7 years old. So it is showing wear, and there's a formula that the gear companies use based on the age, on if they should replace it. Almost all of our gear, if it would go in for a minor repair, they would recommend replacing it now. So that's something we're gonna have to start budgeting for, and we are looking at some grant funding for that also. Now, along with our PPE, we do have our SCBA's, which are our air packs. We do have a company that comes out and maintains them, does our annual flow testing. Actually, all of our air packs are in service right now. There's been some repairs this year. We did have some damage from a couple fires. But we have managed to keep repair costs down. The company does work with us, and they try and warranty as much stuff as they can for us. So, moving on. Apparatus. Our fleet is aging. Everyone says, oh, you guys just got those trucks. Well, the trucks are 10, 12 years old now. Our oldest truck, you guys can hear it running outside. That truck is 27 years old. So, our ladder truck is 10 years old. But all these trucks, the NFPA, National Fire Protection Association, recommends these trucks should be taken off the road by 15 years. We're fast approaching that number. It's time to start, we're gonna have to start looking at budget numbers to replace them. In the last couple years, our repair costs have been 2020, our repair costs were $36,000. 2021, our repair costs skyrocketed to $70,000. We had major issues with 2 of the rigs, were required extensive repairs. This year, our repairs were down to $36,000. The key thing, other than the cost, because prices are steadily going up, that we're using as a metric here is our out-of-service time for our apparatus. According to, you guys, the chart's a little small for you. Our engine 1, which is our frontline engine, was out of service for 174 days last year. Compared to the year before that, it was out of service for 163 days. So we are having issues with that rig, keeping it in service and mechanically sound. And it's not just the same issue, it's different issues, but it's coming. Last year, a lot of this was due to the part shortage, but the rig is still out of service. At the same time, engine 3 had a major issue with its brakes. So when we started really looking at it, we're like, we need to start looking at replacement on these rigs. Right now, we started getting some estimates. There's a budgeting and grants, and we're looking at 2.5 years to get a new engine here, built brand new. So the price, everything is escalating, but the time to build is just astronomical right now. When we purchased these rigs, we had them in 1 year. All right, the fire marshal's vehicle is another issue. We do have the 2 command vehicles, the one that I drive and the one the fire marshal drives. They're both high mileage, they're both 2010 Explorers. The fire marshal's car does have some serious issues with its stalling. It's becoming a safety issue, and it's something I'll be bringing up at budget meetings. that vehicle needs to be replaced soon. As far as EMS, I know this isn't quite our purview, but you guys, I do meet with Jason from Rapid Response and get reports from him every month. I do have their numbers. They responded to 2,720 calls for service last year. 2,232 of these runs were handled by their primary unit. Last year, it was Kathy entered into the agreement with, and they have the backup unit here 8 hours a day during peak times. So when the primary unit was busy, they had, the secondary unit responded 488 times. As far as EMS and the fire service, we're working towards it. All 24 members of our fire department are certified as EMTs. We do have our current CPR things to keep our licenses current. We're working towards licensing and having our rigs re-licensed, our engines, to help with response. But there's a couple things we're waiting on there. We've got technology's getting us again. AEDs we ordered are on back order, and we're waiting for, we have to update our reporting system. Since we were been last in the EMS business, everything has gone electronic. We do have the tools or the pads, the tablets to use, but we need to get a license for the new software for the reporting system. We're currently getting bids on that. And lastly, our annual hydrant inspection was conducted here. We worked with the DPS closely. The DPS superintendent asked that we would flush the hydrants as part of clearing out the system. So doing our annual checks, we have 477 hydrants which we inspect annually. We flushed 219 of them. After going through then the first check, we had 7 out-of-service hydrants that I believe all were repaired already. So the DPS has been on top of it. Anything we report to them, they're taken care of right away. So once we go through, we do our first and second checks, and basically we're checking for functional. If they're functional, if they're wet or dry, if they're wet, we pump them out. If they're wet on our second check, we pump them out, we let the DPW know, then they issue a repair order. And that's all I have. If you have any questions?
That was awesome.
I don't know if it's the appropriate question to you or go to school district. Like, since all of our buildings are old, can you train our school, like if anything happens, fire comes, or how to exit out from the school?
Schools are required to have fire drills annually. I believe it's 4.
They do it?
They do it annually. There is a schedule. Our fire marshal does get out to as many as he can. We do have a schedule. He gets out to as many as he can to, witness it, make sure they're doing it, offer pointers.
Nice. Great.
And made by the state.
Yep.
Mr. Chair. Chief, I have a quick question. You mentioned that those engines are old and you're planning on getting it replaced, or I want to talk about the repairing. So those repairings come out of this budget
Yes,
that we
of
do,
course.
or is it additional
No,
cost that it comes out?
I do have a budget for equipment maintenance and repairs. And we base that usually on the previous year.
Okay.
And so far, we've been running right in there. I believe last year, we did have to amend the budget because of the extensive repairs that were required, but this year, we're right there right now.
Okay.
We're also gonna be looking at a capital improvement plans for future as far as the rigs and such, and try to map it out going forward.
Right.
Mr. Chair.
And
It is, go ahead.
you mentioned that you went out to Detroit site 225 times, and if I'm not mistaken, I wrote it down, 28 times Highland Park,
Yes.
and they came 28 times only to rescue city of Hamtramck.
Yes.
So we went out there more than they came and serviced us. So we're putting more time into Detroit than the Hamtramck.
Well,
I understand the contract, but
Well, it's not so much a contract, it's a matter of safety for everyone involved. The NFPA states that we usually have 17 firefighters on scene. If we respond solely as the Hamtramck Fire Department, we have 6. There are just a number of fireground functions that cannot occur with 6 people. You cannot do adequate water supply, fire attack, and rescue at the same time. Us having help coming in is key to keeping the citizens of Hamtramck safe.
So what determines the need to go there or to come here? Is it the seriousness of the call?
It's based on a geographic information system that they plug in if we are within that geographic area. If we are one of the closest companies of the 5 needed for that call, we're sent.
All right. Thank you. Any more questions?
No, just one reference, Mr. Councilman.
that cost, it is under fire department line item by line item, budget session coming, and we all gonna see that. And it will reflect, because he already mentioning some stops is gonna come to there. So the budget session, we have to go the department by department, line item by line item.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
That's very nice, thank you, appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, next is the 2022 annual report for the police department.
Hi. Good evening, Mayor and Council. So, you all have the presentation in front of you as well. So just some initial crime and traffic statistics for the police department. In 2022, we responded to 12,215 total calls for service. The police department made 691 total arrests, which included 203 felony arrests. So those would be your more serious crimes, those offenses punishable by more than a year in jail. And we handled 488 misdemeanor arrests. Those would be your lesser offenses of what you would think of, maybe suspended license and driving offenses and things like that, assaults and things like that. A couple good things to note is our violent crimes are down by 17% from where they were this time last year. Our felonious assaults are down by 25%, and our homicides are down 67%. Our sexual assault crimes are down by 50%. Our drug crimes are down by 31%, and alcohol-related crimes are down 13%. However, in the opposite of that, we are seeing an increase of motor vehicle theft up by 55%. Our retail frauds are up by 72%. Our property crimes are up 25%, and our hit and run accidents are up 82%. So those are the number of times that someone was involved in an accident and fled the scene without sharing their information with the other driver. We do have an investigator that handles those specifically. So we are seeing a lot of increases in some of those property crimes, but it's good to know, like I said, that our violent crimes are down. The property crimes are consistent with what we're seeing in this area in southeast Michigan. If you see the news, you see a lot of things reported about property crimes. It's happening everywhere, stolen vehicles, break-ins, vehicle break-ins, things like that. And we're also seeing that nationally as well. In terms of traffic citations, the police department wrote 7,464 traffic citations, which included 5,441 civil infractions. And when I broke it down by speeding, it was 1,745 speeding citations. Misdemeanor traffic, we wrote 838 tickets. So again, that would be your driving while license suspended, your drunk driving and things like that. Dangerous and reckless driving, we did write 90 citations for that. And our parking related, these are non-metered tickets, so these are just the ones that go out, handicap parking, fire hydrant parking, the parking on the yellow curbs were 2,389. In 2022, the Hamtramck Police Department had the following employee changes. We hired 6 new police officers and 8 new civilians were hired. So that included our dispatchers and traffic clerks. We had 4 officer resignations. We had no terminations. We had 2 detectives were promoted, and we promoted 3 civilians. So in other words, we moved civilians from one position of the dispatcher into another position in the police department, which included adding an administrative assistant for the 2nd floor. So you can see a couple of the photographs that we had included were 2 recruits that had graduated from the police academy, which that's the first time we had sent recruits to the academy since I was in the academy 24 years ago. So it was a good thing for the city to start sending people to the police academy, so I can thank Mayor and Council for supporting them. The Hamtramck Police Department staff participated in several community events, which include but not limited to the Hamtramck Drug Free Community Coalition meetings and events. We attended the Back to School Carnival, the Labor Day Festival, the Labor Day Parade, prescription drug take back, the health hike. We had a vehicle auction and property auction. We participated in the Dickinson East Christmas gift presentation. We went to the Hamtramck Drug Free Community Coalition Public Safety Breakfast, the Hamtramck Community Initiative Annual Banquet, a Juneteenth celebration at Historic Stadium, We had the Macomb County Academy graduation, where again, we had 2 recruits graduate. We had officers participate in annual canine training. We did a trunk or treat, our first annual, in front of City Hall, and we had officers participate in the Detroit City Football Club games. Going forward, I do plan to continue my chat with the chief. I was doing that for quite some time, it kind of stalled a little bit with COVID, but you will see me continue that in the new year. The police department, we continue to make training a priority. Staff members are completing at least a minimum of 1 to 2 classes per month, in addition to any other classes they request to attend. These classes are mandatory, and they include but not limited to use of force, de-escalation, racial and social justice issues, mental health awareness, autism awareness, school threats and safety, and many other classes. I applied for and was awarded, I should say the city applied for and was awarded the FDCVT grant, the Financially Distressed Cities grant from the state of Michigan to purchase body-worn cameras for the police department. Body-worn cameras were purchased and have been implemented in the department, so every officer is wearing a body camera. The city was also awarded a training grant in the amount of $100,000 that is currently being used for police and fire training. So we share that with the fire department, so both departments are participating in that. You can see some photographs that we included from our trunk or treat event, the Dickinson East Christmas present giveaway. We did participate in the Hamtramck Resource Fair at City Hall. There's a photograph from our annual canine training event. We have 2 canine officers in the police department, and both of them attended annual week-long training. The Hamtramck Health Hike that was run by the HDFCC, the Public Safety Breakfast, and the HCI Annual Banquet. We had one of our officers participate in an event downriver, which was called Cops and Pastries. It benefited Mimi's Mission, which they do a lot of autism awareness training for officers. And we had an officer participate to see how many donuts he could eat in a short amount of time. Which, let me tell you, was not very many compared to some of the other people that were at the event. Somebody actually ate 12 donuts in a couple minutes.
I hear he was a winner about.
Yeah, he did all right, but not, so there's a photograph from that there. And then the aerial shot you see was myself. I was in that photo along with that officer and a bunch of officers from other departments. We have the historic stadium Juneteenth celebration. We did Police Week and Reserve Awards. So you see, thank you to Mayor and Council for participating in that. And then the Hamtramck City Hall Holiday Party. Some other things that, and I do want to thank my assistant and crime analyst for working on this PowerPoint for me. They put a lot of work into helping me with that, so I do appreciate their hard work. Part of my job in 2022 was to work with FEMA, since that came up earlier, on the flooding disaster that affected the city-owned property. So that included site visits with FEMA and weekly phone calls for the project of all the property for the city that was damaged, including City Hall, the flooding we had in the basement. So currently, I'm sure that you've seen on social media that our property crimes are increasing. We're seeing a large increase in vehicle damage and thefts. Currently, the most common stolen or damaged vehicles are the Kias, the Hondas, Hyundais, and Dodge Chargers. We're seeing an increase in thieves using stolen vehicles. So coming to Hamtramck and get a stolen vehicle, so that way if they get caught, they can abandon the vehicle and run, and they won't be out their own vehicle. So we're working on that. Sorry, I'm getting nervous. Our Detective Bureau and Patrol Division are working together on this issue to try to figure out a game plan going forward. We're working with several other Metro Detroit communities that are seeing the same issue, and we're working on sharing information with Detroit Police Department. So a reminder to the community to make sure your doors are locked, don't leave your valuables in the vehicle, use any anti-theft deterrent devices that you can, and most importantly is report any suspicious activity that you see. A lot of this is occurring during the night, so please make sure that they're reporting anything that they see. Overall, it really doesn't seem like it, but our crime rate is down about 2% overall from what we saw last year. Some days it doesn't seem like it when you start seeing all the social media, things like that, but our crime is currently down. We continue to work on recruiting efforts and hiring. We currently have 1 recruit in the academy, which he was a dispatcher, and we're finalizing the hiring process for a couple additional candidates. And of course, anyone interested in any careers in the police department, we have dispatcher, reserve officer, police officer. They can visit the city's website for more information. I know it was a lot to take in all at once, I talked kind of fast, so I apologize for that.
No, we did good.
Open to any questions?
I will add, as city attorney, I get to see firsthand the job that the police officers do. And over time, I've noticed that the chief runs an extremely tight ship, really good department. I think all the officers conduct themselves very professionally, with honor and pride representing the city. And that's what I see every day, looking at every ticket and every situation. I notice very consistently well-done police reports, and just overall, I think she's done a great job. So I'll add that.
Entertain any questions?
Mr. Mayor?
Go ahead.
Well, I mean, how did you get those numbers, if you don't mind asking this? Like this a violent crime down 17%. How did you get this? Because, you know, according to I'm not going by the social media, just going by living and working in the city day to day, every day. There's crimes went up. There's multiple burglaries and breaking into the house while they're inside. Just yesterday's incidents from Comore Street all the way to Knief to Michelle, 40 cars, windshield busted, broken. I don't know if it was targeted or it was, you know, organized crime or someone wanted to do that for fun. So this is happening lately a lot, you know.
Right. So what we did find out, and like I said, we've been working with other areas, including the Detroit Police Department, and detectives were on the phone with Detroit. And we always kind of see when they have a crime spike, we have a crime spike. It's just, we're surrounded by Detroit. So detectives did reach out, because as you stated, we did have several vehicles damaged and broken into last night. Detroit had the same thing.
Yeah,
Detroit had
40.
hundreds of vehicles
That's
in our surrounding area.
20,
So-
30 cars.
Yeah, so we're
Windshield
seeing,
were, that's
a
a
lot,
lot of
and-
many cars.
Councilman, to answer your question in regards to the stats, we keep stats and everything. So every time there's a malicious destruction of property, car theft, which is commonly referred to as UDA, the numbers basically add up in our system, which is Clemis. And the chief can run detailed reports and pretty much pull all the stats and have charts for all the years that have passed. So we know pretty much what's going and what's not. So last night was probably an anomaly. They're not usually like that. It sounds like someone went on a spree.
right, yeah.
But, I mean, that happens from time to time, unfortunately. From what the chief told me today, our officers actually discovered it before most people even knew it had happened, and were out there searching and hunting. So,
Yeah.
they were out there all night, but as you know, that stuff happens very quick too. You know, one pass down the street can be a lot of damage, so.
And we have, you know, and we have not seen numbers like this since early on in my career. That was the big thing back early on in my career. Stolen vehicles, Jeeps, all those kind of vehicles were stolen on a nightly basis, 10, 20 vehicles. We haven't seen numbers like that until recently. And like I said, that's why you compare it to what we're seeing in southeast Michigan. And again, to answer, as the city manager said, that we do have a report that we run in the system, and we're able to see the number of armed robberies we had last year compared to what we've had, you know, in 2022. Some good statistics to report is that we did make 8 armed robbery arrests with the crimes that we had, and when you look at, you know, the numbers of having 36 last year, it may not seem like a lot, but it really is. I mean, it's good detective work, it's good patrol officer work, going out there and finding, looking for evidence, talking to people, getting people to come forward, and that's what's really important, is we're finding in the community, not a lot of people want to report crimes, because they don't think that we're ever gonna catch who did it. And quite frankly, we do a lot, and we can target, we can put together a package. If we have one person we caught that broke out 30 windows, we may be able to tie him to 40 more cases, I mean, those kind of things. So it is very important for people to report their crimes.
So another thing, as the chief was saying, how early in our careers, stolen cars was really high. I mean, that was like the big thing when we started. We were every night chasing cars. It was minivans and Dodge Rams. You know, Dodge at the time got smart, started putting anti-theft on there. For years, car theft went down significantly, but we've had a significant resurgence of that just in, what is the past year or more now? Especially even social media has demonstrations now on how to steal cars. I mean, that's not helping.
It's unfortunate that, yeah.
So, Chief, you mentioned that we are surrounded by Detroit. Would you recommend that to putting the surveillance cameras in each corner of the corner of the city of Hamtramck borders, the premises areas, to catch anyone that coming in and destroying our properties and, you know.
It is something we're looking at. As a matter of fact, I have a
Actually
meeting
exploring
tomorrow
it,
with, a company
That's-
that does do the cameras similar to what Detroit has, like the Green Light Project.
Mhm.
They have other cameras
Yes, they
that are
do.
really good for surveillance and capturing license plates and being able to, so we actually have a meeting tomorrow, myself and my lieutenant, with a company to
Okay.
try to see what kind of, you know.
We're
program we
thinking
can
like,
offer.
If we do, if we
Yeah.
do-
That's a great idea,
leverage-
because if
Yeah.
you have a Davidson and Knife and a few areas, you know, that will cover the whole city
If we
almost.
can leverage technology to help.
especially on the borders, like, you probably saw this video, a lady, with this 10 years old son walking into the door with the groceries, and two gunmen came out of the car and pointed a gun and tried to snatch the parts, you know, while they're approaching, to their home, or while they're going into the house. And that's happened just right on, border of Hamtramck and Detroit. So.
Actually, that was in Chicago, not here.
No, it was on Charles Street. Yeah,
The one
it's-
that was posted on social media, they investigated and it was in another
No,
state.
it's
Yeah, I
it's
saw
a-
the same thing that they said, this isn't even Michigan,
Is
this
it,
is
it
Chicago.
was similar street name, but not here in Detroit.
It's funny, because I can look at a lot of videos and say, that's not even Hamtramck, like, we don't have buildings that look like that.
No,
We
this
don't
is,
have houses.
I have it, this is right next to this, the white school, it's a Charles and Femlon, this is,
It could've been
I know the family. Sorry to say.
One of the
that
things with the
this,
cameras though, is if we get these cameras
They-
throughout the city,
They put it like under the, it's like a Bangla Town, you know how we have a Bangla Town sign, so they put the Bangla Town sign and they're putting it on all Bangladeshi news media and say that Bangla Town is under, you know, high crime and this and that, you know, and then our Bangladeshi TV
On
channels
Facebook?
are, yeah, it's the video clips, yeah, it's right there on Charles and Conan. This area is Bangladeshi populated and Yemeni American, they're moving in, you know, they're, you know. It was horrific to see that, you know, the little 10 years old was fighting back with his gunman.
It is difficult.
And then husband came out and then they ran, but they took the purse. But you know, I know this, your department is doing a wonderful job trying to
And, you know,
protect
I do-
everybody.
Thank you, and I do thank the city attorney for his comments.
Yeah.
You know, you see the social media comments is frustrating, because, oh, Hamtramck police aren't doing anything. Trust me, they are. They're out
They-
there, you know, they're working hard, you know, they're doing everything they can with, you know, the
Sure.
information they have and the resources that they have. But I think that I'm very proud of my department. I think they're doing very, very,
Sure.
very good work.
Chief, they included us in the comments too.
Mhm.
They said that the Hamtramck Police Department and councilor are useless. That multiple times on the Facebook, you know, so they're including us that we're not doing anything about it, you know?
You're always gonna get negative naysayers.
Yeah,
out
we
there.
get it, I
All we
get
can
it,
do
you
is
know,
our jobs and
that's
work hard.
part of this thing.
And keep
We
spreading
wanna
good-
improve.
Keep spreading good
keep in mind
messages.
too, Council Mayor, that all of this is happening with staffing in a crisis. I mean, we are severely still understaffed and desperately trying to hire. And,
Sure.
you know, every day they're out there working hard to continue this, both the police and the fire department.
Yes.
You know, fire department's chronically understaffed as well, and they're still keeping everything down.
So main thing, there is the cost related also, surveillance, camera and stopping, we understand. But residents have to do some kinds of activity too. If you see your street, the people you don't know suspecting somebody driving and stop and walking around, you don't know, you have to call the police. Same thing I see my street, one of the car, every midnight come, stay at the corner, no reason. So then one day I call police, as soon as police came and he gone. So there, and next day I see my neighborhood and the tire completely gone, the other thing gone, now a little safe. So if you don't call, or only after the fact you report, the database gonna give you those kinds of report if it is after the fact. If you call before the fact, maybe you can eliminate those kinds of crime. Last night what happened, I can believe that street, nobody cannot recognize, not even one. So, and I drive myself if I see like that. Call police and myself get out from the home, drive the area. This area is our people, we know each other.
Yes.
Councilman, you hit it right on the nose. The police need the community.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's that simple.
Yeah, that's
A
important.
lot of the good catches and a lot of the crimes are solved by the community participation, the partnership between the
Community
police
has
and
to
the
step
community.
up too, that's all.
Right.
In that case, I think we need to have a community town hall meeting to awareness to the community, hey, what you need to do. You know, you're short on police
part of it-
department and.
I'm sorry, I was gonna say, I think part of that maybe as well is to, and Max was mentioning the staffing issues and mentioning the community involvement. I think it's obvious a little bit to me that the police department and the fire department, for that matter, could benefit from members of the community applying themselves. So I think part of the town hall might be to recruit people, if they're having staffing
Right.
issues and
I request
having
you-
trouble, communicating with the city, people of the city, bring them in. And I think that would solve a lot of issues. I mean, I think that would solve a lot of issues. So a town hall's a great idea, and I
Sure.
think including that in that
Yeah.
might be.
And several of the civilians that we've hired recently are Hamtramck community members. So it's a good start for someone that may be interested in going to the police academy, or at least seeing what it's like to be in the police department, to get, kind of an idea. They may not have knowledge about law enforcement, so it's a good step, and it is a good path towards the police academy. So we did recently hire a couple of good community members that we're excited to have them on board. So absolutely, we're always looking for community members too.
Also, maybe it'll help, I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor, the high school graduation party, maybe if someone goes there and talk about it, hey,
Yep.
you never know,
do
somebody
that.
might get interested,
Yeah, in fact,
High schoolers.
Sergeant Jokai is a graduate of Hamtramck High School, and they just had their alumni event that they have, and they invite him every year to come and talk about what it's like to be a police officer as a Hamtramck graduate. There was another graduate from Hamtramck, unfortunately, she went to a different police department, but she was there as well. So it's always good, so we do go to the high school, he speaks every year, they invite him, and, so I think it's always, and we've been part of we do a lot of work with the schools as well. So,
Thank you though.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
No, it's not Saturday anymore.
Because of Odie's head.
What I do?
You need your face to be seen in the
He wanna
camera.
show you
Odia
to the
was
community.
blocking your face.
Oh, beautiful.
See ya.
Block it.
It looked like your head was laying on top of the podium.
Proclamation next one.
All right,
Proclamation.
thank you. So the next one is proclamation, World Hijab Day. And
Sorry, you probably can't see.
I can go ahead and read it. Proclamation celebrating World Hijab Day. Respect my pride, my devotion, my choice, my hijab. World Hijab Day is an annual event founded by Nazma Khan in 2013, taking place on the 1st of February each year in 140 countries worldwide. Its stated purpose is to encourage women of all religions and backgrounds to wear and experience the hijab for the day. World Hijab Day was started to fight discrimination against women in hijab after hate crimes against Muslims hit an all-time high after 9/11. As women around the world gather to celebrate World Hijab Day, support our Muslim sisters' freedom to express their belief without fear. As Americans, we value our freedom of expression without hesitation or influence from others. We celebrate diversity and learn to accept people from all different cultures and backgrounds and make everyone an important part of the community. Unfortunately, our Muslim sisters fear for their own safety, for their personal choice of wearing a hijab. They endure unwelcoming stares on the streets for their expression of devotion to their religion. No instances of hate should be tolerated if we wish to live in a peaceful society. Let's stand up for their rights to cover, and let's stand up against racism, misogyny, and prejudice. Our actions must emerge from compassion, invite understanding, include listening, and moving toward connection through shared values. Let us come together and celebrate our unique differences. All right, so we're done with the proclamations, and we are moving to additions, deletions, agenda approval. Do we have any additions or deletions? All right. Next section is the public comment.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm going to read my first and only email from Councilman Khalid Rafai. Good evening, Mayor, colleagues, and Hamtramck residents. In regards to proclamation, recognitions, and presentations, 1, thank you, Mayor, Council, and City Administration for recognizing Noor Al-Kafi for her contributions to the community and to those in need. Hopefully, she will inspire others to do the same. Thank you, Razan Kalawi, for her contributions to the arts and culture of Hamtramck, specifically her art installment, Faces of Hamtramck. She deserves to be recognized and receive a certificate from our city government. Thank you to Nazma Khan for advocating World Hijab Day proclamation since 2013, much appreciated. New Business C, Resolution 2312 and 13. I encourage the mayor and my colleagues to approve both of these resolutions as it's about time for the reconstruction of CNIF. I'm glad that our city was granted 82% of the cost from the Federal Aid Assistance Grant. That's to reconstruct CNIF Street from Conant Street to Buffalo Street with complete removal and replacement of the roadway, new storm drainage facilities, new sidewalk facilities, including the placement of sidewalk ramps to current Americans with Disabilities Act requirements. Thank you, Rana, for your hard work. Thank you, Mayor, Council, and City Administration. Message to my constituents and business owners, please shovel and salt your sidewalks when needed. Much appreciated. Good night. God bless you all. Please stay safe and warm. Khalil Rafai. Thank you. Was that under 2-3 minutes? Lynn Blasey, please. Thanks.
Hello, Mayor and Council. Can I be proactive and ask for a minute? Awesome, thank you. Restart. Did you restart?
4 minutes, yep.
Okay.
I started right when you stand up there, so the faster you talk.
I also, echoing Khalil, want to send an extra congratulations to Noor, even though she's left. I'm sure she didn't do those things expecting an award, but it's really important to recognize when our young people go above and beyond. One, to encourage them, but also to show others that that is important, to be aware, and that she acted with clear mind in those moments is really outstanding, especially for her age. I also would like to send extra congratulations to Razan. I'm so glad that she was chosen for the installation at 9414 Joseph Campo. Her installation is still up. And I just want everyone to be aware that painting 28 portraits that are recognizable of real human beings that live in Hamtramck and work in Hamtramck is no easy feat, especially as a full-time art student at U of M. So I just wanted to give an extra, Arts and Culture Commission pat on the back to Razan for that. And to mention that her exhibit is on display and continuing to be on display at 9414 Joseph Campo. That's the east side of Campo between Florian and Poland until the remodeling of that building is finished. So it'll be out there for a couple of years. And then I also wanted to say that World Hijab Day, to the people watching, is a really great way to encourage conversation around the hijab. It's an opportunity to confront bias in a really constructive way. And when I participate, I'm able to enter conversations with my supervisors, people I work with, people that I see on the street, and engage with them and help educate them about our Muslim sisters worldwide. So I think it's really important that our city acknowledges that. Now to more boring agenda items. 2023-08, I just want to thank our city for our commitment to ongoing commitment to find funding for infrastructure for our alleys. 2023-09. I just had a question if this agenda item was in relation to the last homes for the Sarah Garrett lawsuit. The language was a little bit lawyery. It's legalese, so it's hard to decipher what that was relation to. And then just a little bit of clarification around 2023, 12 and 13. It seems like those are very related, and the relationship between them is MDOT is like the boss of the project, Hennessy is contracted to supervise the project, and then Mark Anthony contracting are the people on the ground doing the work. Correct. So I just wanted to clarify that. And I still have time?
Yep.
Awesome. And lastly, I'd like to thank
40 seconds.
Oh, shoot. thank the Historic Museum for their accessibility and coming out into the community. DCFC did a cleanup, and Greg came and spoke about the history of Veterans Park to the group. And the museum is often open to any community group that needs a place to meet. And I really appreciate that as a demonstration of the connection between the museum and the community. And I also just wanted to personally thank the fire department for their continuing support, filling up the water wagon to plant to water the flowers in the planter boxes on Joseph Campbell. So thank you.
5 seconds, say something else.
I appreciate you all.
Thanks. Carrie Beth Leslie, Norwalk, Walton, 3 minutes.
I just had 3 things I wanted to comment. One, I believe you said in the World Hijab Day proclamation, which was lovely, that expressions of hate should not exist in a free society. And I know that many times this council has doubled down on anti-gay hatred. And for that reason, I'd like to, now that there is public a disclosure of the names for city manager candidate, I'd like to ask you not to put somebody in that position who has videos of him out there equating homosexuality to bestiality, because one of those candidates, Kamal Rahman, does have that. I think we've seen how long the news cycle will stay on a Nazi flag that is up for 5 hours. I'm sure they would love to double down on this, and as a non-Muslim neighbor, I already have enough time trying to explain to people that we don't follow Sharia law. That's gonna double down on that. Secondly, I know there was some concern about the number of times in mutual aid in which we go out to help our neighbors as opposed to our neighbors help us. You should thank them for that. That's free on-the-job training that we're getting, where they'd otherwise be sitting around in a class getting a theory of how they're going to be doing that. They're out there actually getting it, as opposed to sitting around waiting for an alarm to go off, which is, other than education, mostly what a firefighter does. So we're getting on-the-job training. We should be thankful for that, and thankful that we are allowed to meet federal standards without having to take a larger chunk of our budget to address our own local issues, and take advantage of our neighbors' technology that we may or may not have, like a younger truck, for instance. Third, the concept that you all would consider putting cameras at the border of the city. I have seen this occur once. It was when I was working on my dissertation. It was disclosed to me by a sheriff deputy for an all-white community that exists outside of New Orleans that has 3 borders with New Orleans. So they put cameras at each of those borders. And they wouldn't tell that to the public, but they would in a white supremacy meeting that I got into. And so just think about what sort of message you're sending to your neighbors when you do that. Because again, these news cycles can be long, especially when it deals with bigotry and people wanting to cast our community as a community that is not wanting to follow democracy. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Blaine Coleman from Ann Arbor, welcome, 3 minutes, sir.
Hi, thanks. So you've got in your email the proposal to pass a resolution, or let's say even a proclamation, with 7 pretty simple words. We are against military aid to Israel. I think that everybody here reads the news carefully. Everybody here is aware of really the massive damage that Israel has caused with U.S. funding, U.S. political support, wall-to-wall political support for so many years. So many thousands of people killed directly by Israel with our tax money. And you know that's not right. We should not be paying for Israel to kill thousands of Palestinians, which it does regularly. And beyond that, and that's a horrible thing, but beyond that, it encourages everyone in the world to treat Arabs and Muslims in general as very disposable, very killable, without any substantial reason having to be given. And so there are 2 reasons that I would push this resolution, if I may. The first reason is the humanitarian reason of saving Palestinian lives. Second reason is setting a good example. This is an example for other city councils, and Hamtramck could really put itself on the map as a human rights champion this way. Well, I guess I should mention a third thing too, because of the value of human life. Palestinian life, Arab life, Muslim life, and right now, in the American political scene, there is not enough respect for Arab life, for Muslim life. And I think this is a gesture that you could make that wouldn't take long. A resolution or a proclamation, if you prefer, that is very, very simple. No need to argue fine points for pages and pages. Very simple. We are against military aid to Israel, period. Feel free to email me. You've got my email. If you need to call me, I'll give you my number. And I'll be leaving in a few minutes, so just grab me if you have questions. Does anyone want a copy of this?
Yes, we all
I think we all have
We
one.
got a copy of
Okay.
this. Very good.
Well, thank you very much. Good night.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Julie Redden, you said? Yes. Welcome back.
Hello. I just wanted to address what went on at the last city council meeting in regard to the animal sacrifice. I don't know whether you call it a law or a resolution, whatever it is. I think in regard to Michigan law, you might want to look at that law that you passed again. Michigan has anti-cruelty for animals. So it sounds to me like you're going against a Michigan law. Also, I can't imagine that your property values are gonna be going up with this law. I wouldn't wanna live here, and it sounds like this is a great city, but, you know, I can't have little kids in my yard and seeing goats being dragged into a house next door. I can't go to the store and see these same things in the neighbor's yard and trying to explain to a child that that goat is not gonna be here long. I don't understand it. Some things need to stay in the past, and we need to maybe come up with a different way of honoring our religion. There's gotta be, I know there is, because this is the only city that I've heard of that has passed this. So there's gotta be other ways to honor your religion that doesn't involve animal sacrifice, which is very contrary to a lot of people here. So, and part of Hamtramck is, you know, you've got to be good hosts to your visitors. And again, I don't want to come here to go, you know, to a nice bakery and see this kind of stuff. And worse off, hearing this kind of stuff going on. I don't want to hear goats crying. I don't want to hear cows crying. So this is not being good hosts to your visitors and good neighbors, because everyone doesn't believe in this, so you are putting your neighbors in a bad spot. They're not gonna be happy about this, a lot of them. And it's giving Hamtramck and frankly, Michigan, Southeast Michigan, a bad reputation that this is, we all saw the news. This is not acceptable to most people. And so I would like you to please reconsider this, maybe get together and decide how you can otherwise honor your religion and be good neighbors to all of us. And save the animals. Thank you.
Thank you, Julie.
Thank you.
And just because I forgot to mention, Julie is here from Novi. Andrew, can you help me with your last name?
Oleksiak.
Oh, okay, Andrew Oleksiak, Yeamans, welcome, 3 minutes, sir.
Good evening. I'd like to speak on agenda items on the Chief's Fire Department report and resolution 2023-11. First, I'd like to say thank you for the chief for giving the report. It's been a long time. I think we're long overdue to have something of that type of substance for the council and the public to digest from our administration on the fire department side. So again, thank you. I think the chief's doing a pretty good job so far, so it's a change of pace. But I wanted to speak on the auto aid thing again. I think there were some things that were missed out. And again, this is always a question that comes up between how many times we go to Detroit and how many times Detroit comes here. And we see it as a term of responses. But when we respond to Detroit, we go with generally one piece of equipment with 3 people or 4 people on it. When Detroit comes here, they send a minimum of 4 to 6 pieces of equipment with 4 people on them. So, yeah, we go there more, but when they come here, the resources that they send are far more than what we can provide. So there was a SEMCOG report that came out several years ago and basically said, you know, we enjoy the staffing of a very large fire department, but we only pay for the staffing of a, you know, small city of Hamtramck sized fire department. And I think that's huge, on top of the other resources that we get from them, being able to utilize repair shops periodically, the training academy, getting our health testing done there at certain times, grant opportunities. So I know on paper sometimes it looks a little skewed, but if you actually sit down and look at the numbers of what we get and what we give, I think it's actually quite favorable for us. And the relationship that we have with them is largely because of the work that our guys put in. The city of Highland Park receives 0 aid from the city of Detroit anymore. Detroit won't come there because their firefighters couldn't get along with the firefighters in Detroit. So the notion that they will just keep coming no matter what is false. The relationship that these guys and the guys at the firehouse are doing to build with their guys on the street, that matters. And our ability to work cohesively and efficiently at a fire scene, that matters as well. And I'll finish real quick here. Obviously, I'm in support of Resolution 2023-11. The recruiting incentives, I think it's a step in the right direction, but it's probably a far cry from what's needed to continue to get people to come and work here. We're kind of bottom of the barrel when you're looking at paying benefits, and we lost 2 applicants to the city of Inkster this past time. The people that were in the pipeline that our city spent money on to try to get hired. I mean, they were well into the process, and they, at the last minute, said, we're done here. Is it okay if I can get an extension?
You can ask for another minute.
Thank you. I think that's something that, again, there's gonna be a price tag associated with that, and we have contract negotiations coming up with the administration, or whoever's gonna be the administration at that point in time. And I look forward to trying to iron some of this out, but it's a big leap, and we know, this isn't Rochester Hills, it's not Shelby Township, we don't have that type of money, and I'm not asking for that type of money, but there's gonna have to be some forward initiative to try to keep people coming in. And as much as, personally, I live in Hamtramck, I've lived here almost my whole life, you know, full-time, 20-plus years. I would love to see more people from this city applying, and preference points to get hired. But frankly, right now, you don't even need it. If you have the certifications to get in and can pass a background check, you're pretty much getting a job. With the other employee that we have that's going out on disability, it's an open market. So I think this is a step in the right direction, and I look forward to working with this council and the administration in the future. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Please, council, remember that the mayor is the one that approves the extra minute. Nasser Hussain, Hamtramck resident, welcome.
Hello, everyone.
Just a few miscellaneous topics. The parking entrapment, like on the corners where the line is, there is a stick. People think it's meter sticks, and they go and they park there. But to discover later, it's a prohibited place where people can't park, and they get a ticket for $20. So I think the city, along with the EDA, should place these signs: no parking here to corner. That's monitored by camera. Some people go, they stay there, they stay in the car, they don't leave. They realize if there's an emergency, they would just leave, but they get a ticket anyways because they overstay the 5 minutes. So I think the city, to keep the shoppers, should work out something more prominent signage to solve this issue. Second one is the street sweeping. I noticed a lot of the dirt next to the curbs. It ends up in the drainage system and blocks the sewers. So the city could use the water funds to buy a sweeper and have it cleaned, because this one, instead of paying tens of thousands to go inside and clean it up, if you eliminate it from the source, it'd be much, much easier. And I think the water fund has a lot of money in it, so you could buy a sweeper and periodically sweep around the city. The third, the logo. I think it's time to change it. smokestacks, industry, the city doesn't represent Hamtramck anymore. Maybe Len Blasi with the arts and culture, we should have a contest to people to redesign the logo and have one that represents Hamtramck much better than this one. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, that is all for public comment.
Thank you. All right, we'll move to the consent agenda, and this is approved in a single motion with no discussion. Item A, approval of minutes from the January 10th, 2023 regular city council meeting. B, approval of invoice register date ending January 24th, 2023. C, approval of pre-approved expenditure date ending January 24th, 2023. D, resolution 2023-08, approving amendment 1 to the Michigan Economic Development Corporation grant. E, resolution 2023-09, approving second amendment to NSP subrecipient agreement.
Offer.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
No objection? All right. So we will move to the new business. And we have item A, resolution 2023-10, approving fiscal year 2023-24 budget calendar.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Mr. Mayor, as everyone's aware, we are heading into budget season. This is the calendar that we must approve by charter every year. Now it changes as we go. We mirrored last year for the most part on it to get a lot of it. February, we hope to kick off the process officially. On the 14th, we hope to have an earlier meeting starting at 6 with a brief presentation from our new controller. And then moving into March, having 2 extra meetings on the 7th and the 21st, both on opposing Tuesdays, in order to actually go through the budget with various department heads. We scheduled April the 4th for another meeting, as necessary, of course, if we need it. My hope is that we can get through in 2 solid meetings, but if not, we have a third on the calendar, followed up by a publication on April the 7th, another meeting on the 11th of the first reading of the appropriations, basically the budget, and then the 25th, holding the public hearing during a regular council meeting. Ultimately, we're hoping May 9th to final approval of the budget. If that's amenable to mayor and council, I would ask that you adopt it.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, Councilwoman.
So we can expect Councilmember Hassan's favorite line item budget at the beginning of March?
February, start from,
His favorite line item budget?
Yeah.
department by department.
He loves the line item budget.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I will be
So
here.
it's March 7th and 21st. We'll be going, each department head will be coming in, and we'll be going through each department, literally, department head by department head. So we can go as detailed as Councilman Hassan wants to go, or if he likes them before we get here, we can approve them too. So hopefully by that point, our controller, who's joined us tonight, and myself go through it extensively with each department head and have a pretty good idea around it. So the initial meeting on February 14th, like I said, that's a presentation. If council has anything they would like to try to see us do specifically for next year, that'd be a good time to let us know, and we can, you know, as we work it out with the department heads, try and add it in and bring it to you guys.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, go ahead.
May I ask the question? I know it's not related yet to the finance director.
Absolutely. Come on.
First of all, thank you for coming today. So since you here today and you saw the old budget, can you email to us the budget, old one? Then we can start looking at that one to be prepared for the next budget session.
Yes, I can.
So how you comfortable to look at all the section, or you did not complete yet, or you still looking in the middle?
I'm still looking,
Okay.
but for the most part, I've been able to go through the general fund and all the expenditures.
Okay.
I still have to go through in detail on some of the grants,
but I've gone through,
Most
most
of
of the expenditures and revenue areas.
Okay.
And
So,
Councilman, we can obviously give mayor and council copies of the budget as it stands, with the percentages of how far
Yeah,
we went
yeah.
through it, if you'd like to see that.
that's why I was
Yep,
looking
absolutely.
at, that's why we can start looking at that one.
Yep, sure.
So-
What I'll do is I'll send a copy to the council and the mayor, giving you last year's expenditure, actual expenditures. The 2022-23 budget as amended.
Okay.
The 2022-23 expenditures and revenue collection as of a particular date, let's say,
That day, who you
yeah, whatever, January 31st or, and then we give you, how much of the budget is remaining or utilized, and how much of the percentage of that item
Lovely.
has been.
And how much adjusted?
Well, it just,
Quarterly.
well, that is something I
You
think.
need a little more time, I
Yeah.
understand, no problem.
No, I can even, I have a fair idea as to, what kind of adjustments we'd be
Done.
looking at.
Okay.
We'll be looking at, but it's too early for me to give you a definite.
Predict,
Yeah,
okay, no
definite.
problem.
Yeah, Councilman, keep in mind too, that, as our controller gets more acclimated, you'll start seeing him monthly on a regular basis, even beyond the, our budget season. And he'll present a monthly, update for council and mayor, so.
Yeah, I mean, what we have to understand, we have been short-staffed all across
No
all the
issue.
departments.
Just Yeah, one we got
You
it.
know, so, we're right now catching up, and we are doing our best to catch up and get to a point where we can become so current that we can give you a picture of, our, finances at any given point in time. But it'll take some time for me to get there.
I know.
No, just money.
So, here's the one why I'm making a little big noise, because of the council members. Last year, we have the presentation. 3 day only expend for presentation, not for the line item and department by department. So that is the one I try to this year go through all together. Then we all understand what we need. Like you saw the discussion from the fire department, whatever he's saying, there's a lots of new thing is coming soon. Are you ready for that or not? Example, just a thing. Okay, thank you. I want to make it short. Thank you again. If you guys need any help, communicate with us.
If you guys have any questions at any time and point, you can always reach me.
Thank you, we're
Yeah,
glad
thank
to
you.
have you.
I'm glad to be here.
All right, thank you. Any more discussion?
No.
Gonna go ahead and vote on
Councilman
it?
Hassan,
Yes.
Councilman Al Samiri,
Yes.
Councilman Mahmoud,
Yes.
Councilman Chowdhury,
Yes.
Councilwoman Jakowski.
Yes.
Mr. Mayor, Resolution 23-10 approved.
Thank you. The next one is Resolution 2023-11, implementing recruitment incentives for the Hamtramck Fire Department.
I'll make the motions.
Second.
Mr. Mayor, the chief, as we know, is here. This is his resolution that he asked us to bring forward, and we obliged. We recognize that we need it, so, chief.
This motion or this resolution mirrors the one that you guys passed for the police department in September of last year. We're just trying to, like I said, just like the police department, we're trying to get our last positions filled and fill out our ranks. This is a way we hope we can get some folks in here.
All right.
I think it's such a good idea. Hopefully it works out.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Councilwoman Jakowski.
Yes.
Councilman Chowdhury,
Yes.
Councilman Mahmoud,
Yes.
Councilman Al Samiri,
Yes.
Councilman Hassan.
Yes.
Mr. Mayor, Resolution 23-11 approved.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Good luck
Thank
to you.
C, Resolution 2023-12, approving award of the Kniff Street Reconstruction Project from Conant Street to Buffalo Street to Mark Anthony Contracting Incorporation.
Offer.
Second.
Mr. Mayor, I have our DPS Director, John DeAngelis, and I also have Charles Smith from Hennessy Engineering. To answer any questions if you have any, but I could probably talk about a lot of it. So generally, I know we're used to Tiffany. she's here quite often. But this is an MDOT project. It's federal funding and MDOT has to control it. This was actually prepared by Troy, which is another Hennessy employee that specializes in the MDOT. Unfortunately, he couldn't be here. Mr. Smith, who I'm glad is here tonight because you might see him out from the field, generally runs the field operations. So not a frequent flyer at our council meetings, but always in the city, watching the job sites and making sure they're good to go. Did you want to explain a little, or you want me to continue?
No, you're doing fine, I mean.
So basically put, this is 81% of this is paid by federal funding. MDOT controls it in its entirety, including the bidding process. MDOT hosted a bid. The lowest bidder came in, and it's the one listed on here, what is it, Mark
Anthony.
Construction. And we're encouraging you to pass that, as, MDOT did. The next resolution, D, is the companion resolution to this, basically instructing us to sign the contract with MDOT and also have Hennessy do the engineering part of it, which is very typical for us. Probably should have put these in a reverse, to be completely candid with you, but we were kind of rushing a little bit at the last minute to get them through. But it's basically the Conant to Buffalo in its entirety, pulling out all the concrete, sidewalks too, right?
Sidewalks, yep, ADA ramps, sidewalks, storm drains, and of course, a complete road removal from back curb to back curb.
Basically just like what happened between I-75 and Kniff.
Correct.
And then ultimately, as you know, we'll have one more section to do.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Councilman.
how long is this project expected to take and like what dates? I didn't, like.
September.
Okay,
We're looking to start this project in April, and we're looking to September for completion.
so the whole summer.
Yeah.
It's gonna be pretty inconvenient for the residents on Kniff, but
It is
not
right now,
really-
though,
yeah.
only one lane open.
Yeah, I mean, there's really no way to
It's
get
been
around it.
going
Right.
like that.
We'll continue that
Progress
same
is-
process, it'll still be one lane open, we'll try to get traffic through as best as possible, but, we'll have that sequence set up, so, we can get, emergency through as best as possible, but this is the best laid plan for right now.
The good news is it'll be all brand new and beautiful.
Yeah,
That's all
that's what we
need.
did, that's what we need in Hampshire.
Okay.
Looking forward to seeing
All
you.
right,
Thank you, sir.
Yep, you're welcome.
thank you.
Thank you, Charles.
Councilman Al Samiri,
Yes.
Councilman Hassan,
Yes.
Councilman Chowdhury,
Yes.
Councilwoman Jakowski.
Yes,
Councilman Mahmoud,
Yes.
Mr. Mayor, Resolution 2312 approved.
Thank you. Next one is Resolution 2023-13, approving contract with Michigan Department of Transportation and Hennessy Engineers for the Kniff Street Reconstruction Project, Conant Street to Buffalo Street.
Make a motion?
I'll second.
Mr. Mayor, as I stated, companion resolution to the one we just approved. Just officially awarding the contract to Michigan Department of Transportation and Hennessy.
Councilman Hassan,
Yes.
Councilman Al Samiri,
Yes.
Councilman Mahmoud,
Yes.
Councilman Chowdhury,
Yes.
Councilwoman Jakowski.
yes.
Mr. Mayor, Resolution 23-13 approved.
Thank you. All right, we move to the reports. I'll start with my report. Not much to say. This week we have been busy dealing with the media regarding the pressing issue of the Nazi flag that was raised on one of the houses on Dormis Street. So many media, newspaper or TV stations reach out to us investigating the situation, and some of them asking us, and some residents too, and some people even from outside of Hamtramck to take action against this, but we can't. It is protected by the First Amendment to express your opinion. Even hate speech is protected, unfortunately. Hate crime is not, but hate speech is. So the city cannot intervene, but we all stood up as one united community against this. And like I said, one person expressed his hate speech, a whole community expressed love speech. And when you read on the history of such act, in 1969 there was a Supreme Court ruled in favor of one of the members of KKK in Ohio, and gave him the right, protect his right to express his hate speech and call to violence. Even calling to violence is protected, but inciting violence is not. So I'm glad that our community came all together against this, and that's what we keep telling the media. So we had media reaching out to us even from out of the state. Washington Post just reached out to me last night, but they want to conduct a long interview. And so this was the pressing issue this week, and it is a good sign that our community is alert and aware of any hateful behavior. Other than that, I have been involved in many events in the past 2 weeks. One of them, I attended the grand opening of the World Peace Outreach, a big organization in Redford. So many people came together from different backgrounds, Muslims, Christian, Jewish, Hindu, and so many people came together. It was a good event that showed tolerance and acceptance of each other. Last week, I also attended the grand opening of Good Price, which is owned by our DDA chair, even if it's not in Hamtramck, but he owns a similar store in Hamtramck. It was in Detroit. I met Mayor Duggan there too. Another grand opening for another business in Hamtramck for tax and immigration on Conant. That's possible person who would compete with Councilman Chaudhry for tax on the same street. So yeah, other than that, been involved in so many community events, weddings, funerals, a lot of stuff. That's all I have for my report today, and we'll move to the Mayor Pro Tem report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So, no major report, only requesting residents. If you see somebody suspected driving around, walking around, report to the police. Because we know what kinds of stopping we have. We don't want to publicly say that. Our police department is doing very good job and doing patrolling very good. But we need help from community policing, from the community, and also front porch. Everybody should turn on the light, and that's why there is a lots of stealing happening to our community. It might gonna stop. So report to the police department as early as possible before the fact. That's why we can prevent lots of crime, lots of incident. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. City Council report, anyone?
Mr. Mayor.
Councilwoman?
I just had two quick things that happened. One is Councilmember Mahmoud, Lynn Blasey, and Carrie Beth Lastly and I attended the swearing-in ceremony for our new Congressman Sri Tanadar, and we were able to have some really good conversations with elected officials in Highland Park, and it was just a really nice thing to be able to talk to our neighbors about similar issues that we're having and things that we hope that we see from our new congressman. And then the other thing is I attended the American Human Rights Council's new open house for their new office in Dearborn. They do a lot of work ensuring that law enforcement is cooperating with the communities and making sure that the communities have good representation and access to other options, especially against like criminalizing youth. And so it's been a really interesting thing to follow that through different things and because I hear it from the nonprofit side and I hear it from like the city council side. So it's interesting to hear the different ways that the work that they do is talked about in the community and respected on all sides. So it was really nice to be able to see their new facility. So if you're interested in going over there, it's a beautiful facility. It's right off of, what road is that? Lynn went with me. So is that Michigan Avenue? Ford Road. I don't remember. It's in Dearborn. If you want to go, let me know, and I will get you the contact information. That's it.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else?
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Yeah, I just want to thank you everyone for coming out and, for your due diligence. Also, and appreciate all those community members that are coming out and express their opinions, what need to be fixed. And I just want to refer to Mr. Nasir, right? What he said about the pool that need to be proper signing. I'll request city manager to get the, quick action because we're kind of putting people on failures because they don't know that if you even stand here, you get ticket. So we need to put a sign that not a standing points or whatever, something that make sure they know of. Otherwise, we're putting them for failure. So, as Mr. Pro Tem Mayor says, see something, say something. This is very important for the all community members. Our police department, fire department, they're all doing a great job. As always, I've been hearing people say before you hang up on phone, our police department at the door. So this is, this is a great compliment for you guys. And I hope you guys are gonna keep up this, reputation that what you had. Thank you, appreciate it.
Thank you.
I'll say something, Mr. Chair, since the last always. Good evening, folks. Thanks for being here tonight with us, with your valuable time. We attended, Councilman Mahmoud, Councilman Mayor Pro Tem Hassan, and I attended MLK, Martin Luther King, along with interim city manager on Monday breakfast. It was a wonderful time, hosted by concerned woman of Hamtramck, Miss Madeline Porter. She hosted, and as you heard from colleagues that, if we do not keep our eyes open and we don't look out for things that are happening, or the neighbors, there are strangers in a neighborhood or someone you don't recognize. Most of us, we know each other. We see them at a pairs, at the shopping, an unknown person can be noticed easily, and then if you speak up, it will prevent a lot of these disasters, many things, many crimes, and things like happened last night. About 20 cars got vandalized. In windshield, it wasn't just just a small glass windshield. They broke all the windshields. 20 cars, street after street. It was middle of the night, late night. Many folks went to bed. They had a school next day. Working in the morning. Our police department and fire department, of course, they're doing a great job keeping the city in safe, as well as city administration. However, we still need to gear up. We still need to step up more. It shouldn't be happening. It's 2.2 square miles. We can comprehend that. We can manage these cities, and we can have our city more safer. Safety is one thing, and safer is better. So I would strongly recommend that police department and our administrations, along with us, if we could do something to implement and do better, I'm willing to do that. And communicating with the town, with the city residents and constituents would be much helpful. So, I'm looking forward to working with everyone. And thank you again. Have a good night.
Thank you. Next is the city manager report.
Not too much tonight. Just want to comment that all of our staff is working incredibly hard and diligent to keep the city moving forward. All the new hires, including the controller, new DPS director, and the various other staff members are settling in really well. Everyone's getting up to speed very quickly. We're working on identifying new grants coming up. The Distressed Cities grant that we annually apply for, we just actually signed out to the fire department. We're hoping that they're gonna apply for some equipment with it. We're alerted by a resident within this past week of another potential avenue, which I was very pleased to see actually one of the residents stepping up and giving us a very interesting proposal on perhaps a tree grant for the city. We're currently in the process of identifying local groups to work with on that. And we've already began the process of engaging our internal grant writers and stakeholders to work on it, including a webinar coming up real soon here. So excited about all the things that are going on. Like I said, everyone's working really hard and we're moving forward.
I think I'm gonna just jump in because it's the city manager report and this sort of is couched in there. After some discussions, basically what we're doing right now is I'm working with the deputy city manager, Molly, and the HR department to provide the council and the mayor a report of all the different various people who have applied at this point for the city manager job. The cutoff has already occurred. There's a lot of people who have applied, so basically what our task is to provide the council and the mayor a transparent, full, and unbiased, basically, opinion and recommendation as to, you know, what the choices are. But really, it's just a more of a breakdown for you, so you can see who is maybe even qualified for a follow-up interview, perhaps. Just to give you guys an informed decision when it comes time. I don't know what kind of timetable the council and the mayor would like us to provide that to you, but we can do that as soon as possible if you'd like. At this point, I believe there have been over 100 applications, but we need to take a look at those and see who actually qualifies under the ordinance and all that. So, that's what we're working on in terms of that. If there was any questions, or if there was a timeline that you wanted to give us, but we could have it done even by the next council meeting if that's what you wanted.
Mr. Chair, I apologize, I want to suspend the law. Actually, I supposed to brought those discussion today. I'm little mentally upset from the what's happened, my family death. So I'm glad you already mentioned that one, and we'll discuss that one next council meeting.
Yeah, this didn't come from me, I was just throwing it out there.
That's the way our intention, attorney and HR together sort it out.
Right.
Communicate with the assistant city manager, because our city manager, interim city manager already applied. So that's why, and you guys make it we cannot go through the 100 of them. Bring couple of like a 5 or 1 to 10 or 1 to 5. This is the thing, sort it out. We think this is the one we have to work. Then we're gonna have our subcommittee gonna go through again, because we trust you, but we don't want to trust 100%. Then we, our elected officials, but that is the way.
But most.
That is
I'm not offended, don't worry.
96.2%.
Right. Maybe you're supposed to put the interim city manager file down, maybe you put on top. So that's why our subcommittee gonna look at that one and then goes through comfortable, then we'll move forward to the timing interview process. But thanks for bringing it to us.
Basically go through the rubric that was provided by the subcommittee, which I've gone through and looks, and is very, very well done. Subcommittee did a really good job on the rubric, and obviously they had great ideas, and we're gonna incorporate those into our report, and obviously, at the end of the day, I wanna make it clear, it has nothing to do with me, the choice is yours. And we talked about this, and basically, as I had said last time, you all are the experts. It's the council and the mayor who decide. And so basically, in this choice, you're the experts on the city. We're providing you with just the data, and our sifting that data through the rubric and through also the law, because there's an ordinance on this point. And so I'm gonna give you the legal analysis of it along with the data analysis, because obviously the council isn't gonna sit through and sift through 105 applications when a number of those probably can't pass the first round of hiring.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And yeah, so like he said, looking at the rubric, it's very good, but you know, we have to take into consideration what the charter said and what the amended, you know, resolution that they put regarding the requirement, and make sound judgment about people, you know, who have administrative experience and instead of city manager experience. We have to take into consideration all of these things, and then only the best will move on to the, you know.
Exactly, and this is a way for us to take a look at the administrative experience and sort of quantify that. So if somebody doesn't have any city work experience, we can say, well, they do have this, they do have that, and then obviously the council makes the informed decision based on that. And the mayor, of course, and so it is the council and the mayor according to the charter that vote, so.
Okay, that's good to know.
Thank you, and so we move back to the public comment.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Was there a city manager report there?
He just
I did.
finished.
Oh, you did? Oh, okay. And I don't
Kinda got
want-
overshadowed.
I'm sorry about that.
Oh, yeah.
I just figured the city manager was the topic, so we'll do it in the city
Then-
manager.
Yeah, you throw me off.
Can I continue? Thank you. Lynn Blasey is the only one with public comment.
I'll be quick. I just wanna highlight that, we are gonna get complaints when Caniff is shut down. And I just encourage us all to remind residents or visitors that are complaining that we can't become a better city without investments in our infrastructure. And infrastructure investments are gonna be uncomfortable or inconvenient at times. And then, just a little tongue in cheek, I look forward to hanging out with you all on Valentine's Day to do budget stuff.
Now, the city council meeting is on the bill.
Right, and for the meeting.
Budget presentation, yeah,
We can try to
thank
keep
you.
that one.
We're celebrated here.
Who's bringing cupcakes?
Yeah.
No.
We're gonna talk in 2 times that day, okay?
Rhonda will bring us something.
You don't want me to bring in my desserts?
All right.
I heard you,
Um,
Move to
I think that is
adjourn.
all.
Move to, is it move
Oh,
to adjourn
yes.
time? I'm
Second.
moving to adjourn.
Thank you.
Second?
Mr. Councilman Mahmoud.
All right, it's 8:50.
John, thank you.
Good night.
Thank you.
Looks like you forcing us to get out from here. You supporting it?
I know.
I just said good night.
You said we're done with public comment.